Alright, so let's just grab these two pieces, we'll hide everything else. And let's go back into the top view, grab another cylinder here. Let's go draw that out in the center. Okay, and again we'll have to adjust the radius a little bit here, so let's just do it something like that, give it a little bit of thickness, and we'll also align it here. Okay, same settings, and okay, and we'll just move it up in perspective here, and we want to make sure that's sitting on top of that edge. Okay, so let's just move this up in the left view for a second. And again, I don't want to have it, you know, super tight, but we'll take it up a little bit more. Let's also maybe give it a couple cap segments here. We'll just do 2 for now, and let's take up the radius. Let's do maybe 185 on the radius. Let's go down a little bit, maybe 184. Alright. Alright, so let's take another look at the reference here. And as you can see, we have a couple of sections here that are cut out. So we're going to need to add a couple of extra cap segments here so we can kind of plow this detail out and then extrude some of this up. Okay, so we have 3 rings here, so let's go back into max. And let's up the cap segments to maybe 4. Yeah, I think that should work fine. So we'll do 4 cap segments, 40 sides, 1 height segment, and converted to editable poly. And we don't really need to have any thickness here right now, so let's delete the bottom and side polygons. Alright, so we just have the top. And in order to get these holes right here, we're just going to chamfer these edges. Okay, so let's go over to edge, let's grab this one, and this one, and loop those. And then we'll go down to chamfer. And we'll crank this up a bit more to get those gaps in there. Okay, and let's maybe go a little higher than that. Alright, and they're not super thick, so we can actually probably dial that back a little bit more. We'll do around 7 or 8, and okay. Okay, so now we'll figure out where we need these holes here. Let's go and reselect these edges here between each of those chamfers and do a ring. And control click polygon there. And we're going to go to top view here, and let's just deselect some polygons. We're not going to be perfectly straight looking at it, but it's okay. Let's just maybe hold down Alt. Deselect these 3 on the outer ring. And whoops, let's just go back to our front view there, or our top view, sorry. Okay, and for the center ring here, let's also deselect 3. And let's keep working our way down here so it gets tapered as we go towards the center. Okay, and we'll do the same thing over here. We want to make sure that we're right across from it, so let's grab these 3 here. And let's deselect the same ones over on this side. Okay, and then the other way, it's a little bit narrower. Okay, so let's maybe deselect 2 on each of the sides. Okay, so what we have here is a space of 7 polygons right here, and we have 8 here, 7, and 8. Okay, so we're actually 1 polygon off on each of these here, but that's okay. You're not going to notice that. If you want to fix that, you can just take the sides up a little bit more on the original cylinder, but I think we're fine to go here. So go back into perspective here, and I'm just going to delete these right out by hitting delete on the keyboard. Now we also have a center hole here, so we need to get that in. Let's go to vertex, select the vertex in the center there, and do a chamfer. Okay, zoom in a bit here, and we're just going to bring this up quite a bit. Okay, I want to make sure that we have, you know, relatively even thickness between these pieces. And I think something like that looks pretty good. Alright, so we'll do around 17 and okay, and then we can just delete that center polygon out to get the hole. Okay, so now let's go over to border maybe. Let's actually do the polygons first. Okay, so let's go back to edge, and I'm just going to ring these polygons here, as well as the one in the center. Okay, so ring those edges. Okay, control click polygon, So we have everything selected besides those bridges there between each section. And we're just going to slightly extrude this up. We don't want it to be too thick, so let's go to extrude. Crank this way down. Let's bring it up maybe like that. And actually, let's maybe do a bevel. So I'm just going to cancel this for a sec. We'll use bevel so we can kind of round it over a bit more. Okay, so let's take this way down. Okay. And we don't want this to look too sharp. We want it to have kind of like a soft rollover. So let's maybe do 2 bevels on this. Do that about 0.5 maybe. Hit apply and continue. And this one we can crank the height down a little bit maybe to kind of flatten it out. Let's take it up a little bit more. Okay, maybe something like that. Okay, so we'll hit OK. And we also don't want to have these just a planar thickness here. We want to have some thickness on the sides of these pieces. So what we can do now is go over to border, grab all of the borders here. Okay, that should select the outer side, outside edges all the way around, as well as the edges around each of these holes. Okay, so make sure you have your edge constraint turned off there. And we'll just zoom in and hold down shift and just extrude that border down a bit. Okay, to sharpen up a little bit more, let's actually do an edge right about here, and then we'll just extrude it down just slightly to get some thickness. Okay, like that. And this will kind of give us these raised sections on each of these rings with the lower bridge parts. Okay. And we might not need to add any supporting edges here. Let's just smooth it out and see how it looks. Okay, so we're going to do a turbo smooth 2 iterations and ice line. Hit F4 to turn off our wire. Okay. And I think we're looking pretty good. Yeah, I don't really think we need to add some any additional edges here. You can see the corners here are a little bit faceted, and that's just because we don't have very many polygons in each of these sections. If you want to get rid of that, you can take it up to 3 here, and that'll smooth it out even more. But it's probably not necessary for how far this will be rendered away. You won't notice that. Okay, and I think that's probably thick enough. I just wonder if we should bring the border down a little bit more. Let's do that. We don't want it to look too flat. Okay, so let's go back to border here, and those borders should still be selected. It's going to bring it down a little bit more to get a little bit more thickness. Okay, let's turn on show on result here so we can see it. And we'll just kind of play with this until we get something we like. Okay, now looks I think probably about right. One thing I should say is if you did want to say sharpen these holes up here, or the corners of them, let's just turn this off for a second. All you really need to do would just be go to edge and ring the edges here. Turn on the show on result button, do a connect, and if you do 2 segments, you can see that's sharpening those corners already. And if you pinch it out, as you get closer to the rings, it's going to get sharper and sharper. Okay, so say you wanted square holes here, that's how you do that. Okay, and you could take it down even more close together so it rounds it a little bit more. But I think for what we're doing here, we don't want to do that. So it's going to hit cancel, and we'll leave them round like this, which is more what it actually looks like on the real one. Okay, so that'll take care of that grating. Let's just change the color. Apply our blue shader maybe, and we also want to make sure that's sitting in the right location. So let's just check it out with the side view here. Also going to center the pivot. Okay, I'm just going to set it on the edge there. Okay, so that should take care of that. The next thing to do is to create that tab on the side. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a weird shape here. I think the best approach will be to start with sort of a sphere, so let's do that. Let's go back into the grid panel here, we'll grab a sphere. Let's go into our front view and hit Z. And over here on the side, the left side, we have that cut out. So let's draw the sphere right here. Don't worry too much about the size, we'll figure that out in a second. Let's also maybe just position it here in the top view. Alright, so let's pull this back. And we'll park it right next to it, like so. Alright, you can get a little bit closer. And for the size, let's do maybe a little bit bigger. Let's do maybe like 33 on the radius. and we really don't need to have 32 sides on this thing, so let's take this down a little bit to like 24 to reduce the Polycount. Okay, and I think that should work fine. Let me just change the color here. Gonna chuck on maybe our orange shader, and let's convert this to editable poly now. And we'll go into the left view, and let's squash this down. So I'm going to go to scale and scale it in on the X. Okay, and as I do this, you can see at the bottom there how much I'm scaling it on the X axis. We'll take it down to maybe like 25 or so. That should be enough curve. And we also don't need to have the back polygons. Let's go to polygon, grab the back polygons here, and delete those off. And we really only need to have a quarter of it, so let's cut the right side off here in the front view. Alright, so let's grab everything on the right side of center and delete it. Okay, and let's go over to edge here in the front view. Let's grab an edge here and do a loop. And let's go up to our move tool, make sure we turn off edge constraint and hold down shift. And we're just going to extrude this out a little bit to lengthen it. Maybe something like that. And let's also maybe just deselect these edges up to maybe this point here. Okay, so we have those top 4 edges selected, and I'm just going to extrude this out a little bit more to create a little bit of an extension here. Okay, and we can adjust the length of this later on to touch up with that part. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. Let's turn off edge here, hit Alt Q. And now we need to figure out how we're going to get some thickness on this and also some back polygons here. We don't want to just extrude out the border because obviously we want to have some thickness and some back polygons there. So let's do a shell. Okay, and the shell is going to be a little weird here. Whenever you have your normals or your polygons kind of angled, it always gives the shell a bit of a problem here. Let's take off the outer amount by right clicking the spinner, and we'll take up the inner amount here to maybe like 4 or so. Okay, and as you can see, that's not really even at all. You can see these are kind of extruding down rather than in, and the top there looks a lot thicker than this part, or the bottom. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of adjusting here to get this to work. Okay, and another thing you could do is clone the polygons out and flip them over and stitch them into the back, but that's probably just going to take as much time as this will. Let's maybe drop on an edit poly here on top of the shell. Okay, and I kind of want the top here to kind of extrude out straight as well as the bottom rather than having this angle on it. So let's go into polygon here. Let's go down to by angle and select the back polygons. Okay, so to do that we're going to need to kind of get this edge here up at the top, and the only really way we can do that right now is to scale it. So let's do that. It's going to be a little messy here, we're going to have to adjust it, but let's go to scale here in the front view and scale this up on X and Y until we match it up with the outer edge there as best we can. Maybe a little more like that. Okay, and then we'll just pull these polygons back here to give some thickness. Let's do something like that. Okay, and as you can see, that's completely screwed up, so what we need to do is adjust the verts here. First things first, let's go into the front view, go over to vertex, and grab these verts here at the end, and we're going to pull these back so they line up with the other edge there, like so. Okay, and this one's a little bit farther down here, so I'm just going to move this up, and we'll try to make everything as neat as we can. Okay, and this edge loop right here is also on an angle there, and we want to have that straight, so we're going to need to pull that back a bit. So let's line it up with the other edge like so. Okay, that'll give us a nice straight corner right here and on the end over here. Okay, so we're looking okay here. Again, some of the topology is a little weird here. You can see those edges are super close together, so we're probably going to need to do something there. And let's maybe see if we can pull that edge out a little bit here to flatten out the back. I'm just going to loop this for a second. Okay, and we'll control click vertex here, or let's just actually deselect some of these edges. Let's deselect this one here, and we'll also deselect the ones around the side. Alright, so I'm just going to follow my way around this loop, deselecting these ones. Okay, and we'll deselect this one here, so we just have the back one selected. Let's control click vertex here. And let's just see if we can pull this out a bit on the y-axis to kind of flatten out the back. And we'll just go into the left view here to do that. Let's pull this forward. Alright, that'll give us a little bit of a rim around the outside there. And I'm still really not liking the way this flows, but it might be okay for us. Okay, we could, remove this edge here and then connect this vert up to this one to get a quad here and here. But the only problem with that is when we go to add supporting edges later on, it's not going to let us ring around the outside all at the same time. It's going to want to add a loop around this section, which we don't want to do because it's going to give us a flat spot. Alright, so let's see if we can. I'm just wondering if we should kind of thicken it up or if we should try leaving it like this. Let's leave it like this for now just to make things easier if we can get away with it. Okay, so let's add some supporting edges here, and we want to maintain a hard corner right here, so we need an edge through these polygons as well as one here. Over here at the back, we actually can delete these off. Let's do that now. So let's grab these end polygons here, deselect these ones. Let's also turn off by angle. Reselect those first. Alright, so just those 4 end polygons there. Let's delete those. And we'll just add a couple of loops here. So let's go back over to edge, ring this edge here. And actually, let's just get rid of this edit poly for now. I'm just going to turn off edge there and collapse it down to edit poly. Alright, to get rid of the shell. And now we'll just ring this edge. Okay, so let's do a connect here for one segment. Just bring that over a bit. Let's do about there. And we'll also add one through this section. Another connect here. Bring it down to the other end. Like so. Okay, I want to also have a couple on the outer flat part here. So let's ring this edge. Okay, that should go around the entire thing for you, so do a connect. This time we'll do 2 segments, pinch those out a bit. And I don't want this to be super sharp, so we don't want to go too tight together on these edges. Let's do around 70. Okay, and we're going to need one right through here to maintain this edge here, so let's ring this edge. Okay, and we want to be careful that we don't have kind of a flat spot along these edges here, so let's do a connect. And we'll do one segment, we'll leave that right in the middle, and we'll see if that's enough to sharpen this up. If not, we'll have to pull the verts down a bit, but let's try it like this. Okay, and we also want to maybe add one on the back edge here. Let's see if we can leave that one first. Okay, I'm just going to smooth it out so you can see what we have. Deterioration is a nice line. Okay, and it's looking okay. Let's just drop back down to the poly here. Okay, I'm just going to add one here temporarily along this back edge. Okay, right through this section. And that's going to go around here at the bottom in this section here. But because we have the hard edge right there, we should be able to bring this fine with the connect here and not cause ourselves any problems. Alright, let's just do let's do 2 segments, and okay. Let's see if that looks a little bit better for us. Okay, that gives us a little bit more of a sharper edge there. And I think the back is probably fine. Let me change the color of this shader here. Let's put the blue on there so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I think that's fine for the tab. Yeah, I don't think it's worth us trying to play around with the back here and make this thicker. You're really not going to see it, so I think that's fine. Let's hit exit isolation mode here for a second, and we'll just position this here in the perspective view. So we'll move it down and move it back here so it's kind of sitting in that groove that we made. Alright, and my mouse seems to be sticking for some reason. Okay, so let's just kind of position it in here. Down a bit so it looks like it's kind of sitting on that plowed out part. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to leave a slight gap in there. Okay. So there we go. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, and I think it's too long. Let's push it in a bit. maybe more like this. Okay, just wanted to kind of hook over that edge. And we can shorten up the length of the extension there as well. So let's go back into Edit Poly here, grab these back verts, and we're just going to pull this in to about there. Alright, we just want it to intersect that inner cylinder. Alright, so just make sure it's tucked inside like that so you can't see any edges. And that should be good. Okay, so we're looking pretty good here. And that'll take care of the cup stand. We might need to adjust the height a little bit later on, but let's see. Okay, we also want to make sure that we rotate that. So let's go into wireframe here and select the parts for the cup stand. Okay, so make sure you get that little tab, the grill, and both cylinders. And we'll just group this. Okay, let's call that cup stand. And we'll go to the top view here. And we're just going to give this a rotation so that's not sticking on the inside there. Alright, so I'm just going to rotate it around. Okay, and it doesn't look like we're centered here. Let's see if we can center the pivot point. Okay, and it's not going to be centered on the cylinder because we have this piece sticking out, so I'm just going to do it by hand here. I'm going to move this over to the center edge right here. And that should let us rotate that properly. Okay, so let's go to twist until that's on the outside over here. Okay, and just check to make sure everything's lined up evenly. Okay, so we're looking pretty good.